Hello everybody and welcome back. I'm Count Christo and this is the Light of the East campaign. It's no longer like 2 AM or whenever I recorded the last episode. It's the following day. My glorious 3-day weekend of freedom and gaming has continued, and we're going to be playing a bit of MEIOU and Taxes. It's funny, so this long weekend that I've had, 3-day weekend, and my fiance's been away, so it's been lots of Paradox gaming. The things I'll miss out on in married life. But anyway, it's in terms of the uploading of these episodes, I've recorded like I think 11 or 12, so that's like 3 months of content. So right, no, not 3 months of content. That's like 2 months of content. Or, I can't remember, but anyway, it's a long time because I'm releasing these two a week, and so okay, it's a month of content. But yeah, my one weekend has provided with quite a lot, which has been good. And it's running really well because I finally started rendering it on my graphics card, which is so useful. So we recently won a war and took Raskia, as I recall. Sorry if I mute myself occasionally. Suddenly go quiet. I'm usually coughing when that's happening. We're currently drilling, and we're preparing for a war against Georgia. We were also trying to make sure we have all our cores started. So these two, yeah, very, very low unrest up there. So I expect if I do this, we'll be able to get that unrest low enough that we can get those cores started. Indeed we did. And up here we've got looking at 0.9 unrest. Once again, similar story. I suspect we can use the slightly odd mechanics of the autonomous rebel suppression tool to... Why can't I deselect this area? Well, anyway, we might be able to do it with them in all those areas. We can use the slightly odd mechanics of this tool to instantly lower autonomy, unrest at range. And there we go. Now we've got everything coring, and we can just start saving up for some technology. Let me lower my voice slightly. Why have we got privateers? Are they doing much damage? Do privateers show up in this list? I don't know if they do. We're currently retaining 61% of the trade power. It's not bad, not bad. Do we own all the land in the Aegean now? I think we do, right? I mean, here we can check pretty easily. Yeah, we own all the land in the Aegean node now. Nice. It's worth seeing, you know. This is one of the reasons why we're going to have to burn down Italy. Even with all the land in the Aegean, we're only getting 60% because lots of people are going to have power from transfers from traders downstream. And yeah, influential trading family. Oh god, influential trading family is really hurting us. But yeah, lots of transfers from traders downstream. So we have two objectives when it comes to Italy. I know I've spoken about Italy a lot, but we'll be on Georgia in a second. We have two objectives when it comes to Italy. One is burn it down, and obviously we're going to conquer parts of it. We're going to conquer here, and that's not technically in Italy. That's in the West Med node. We're going to conquer bits of Venice up here, and it will be in our interest to heavily urbanize the bits of the Italian nodes that we do control, so we get some transfers from traders downstream in our home node, which will remain in the Aegean, I suspect. I strongly suspect. So what we will also try and do is consolidate Italy. We want Italy to be owned by one nation. But we don't want it to be a puppet because, of course, we can't burn down a puppet's lands. So we might try and, at some point, ally someone and then help them consolidate Italy and then break the alliance. But that would be... I mean, that sounds like a lot of work, doesn't it? It'll probably begin to unify to at least some extent on its own. We'll see. So we're gaining manpower at a beautiful 500 per month, which is really quite nice. The Mamluks want to marry us, and I'm actually going to continue to say no to that one because we want to make sure that we don't have a royal marriage with the Mamluks when we want to actually, you know, go against them. Bit of lag for the yearly tick there. To be expected. So... yeah, we don't want to get too weak because we don't want the coalition to form. Because right now, Naples does have a truce with us for another 5 years. Okay, so I think it's unlikely that the coalition will form without Hungary and Naples in it. So I think we're okay to do our war against Georgia. Georgia is allied to Trebizond. Trebizond, are you guaranteed by Theodoro or just married to them? Just married to them. Okay, so our war against them is looking pretty good now. Oh, I can't actually claim the other bits of Trebizond land up here, can I? Although I do want to keep spying on them. Right, and we were going to vassalize Crimea, I remember. That's going to get us some easy integration of some of this northern bit that we don't want to own directly in the immediate future anyway, because it's all de-urbanized and it's all obviously very tribal. They are getting basically... Oh, they're getting some tribal settlement, even though they are themselves tribal. Okay. We will probably damage the tribal settlement in these areas by having it under Crimea, because obviously they are a tribe, and so they're not working to to bring down the impact of the tribes. But so let's not improve with the Mamluks. Let's focus on getting the Crimea to become our subject. Not the Crimea, sorry, Crimea. Not the region, but the state. And we're going to... We can definitely get them to plus 190 just by kind of allying up and things. All right, we can't ally them, but you can do it with a guarantee, can't you? Yeah. So we can start doing all the stuff we need to with them, like marrying them and sending gifts and influencing nation. All that good stuff. Ooh, my sushi's on the way. Excellent. We are... I'll just pause the recording when that arrives. Don't you worry, YouTube. You're not going to have to wait through me eating my sushi. When the fiance's away, Christo will order lots and lots of takeout. And you may say, Christo, it's so sexist of you to make your fiance do all the cooking. This is not the case. I do almost all the cooking. But when she's not here, I just tend to not bother. So we are going to want to demote the Greater Nobles at some point. 27 loyalty is still... We have to get this up to like 40, I think, before we can do that. But in the meantime, do we want to revoke any privileges? I don't think you have any. Yeah. The Lesser Nobles have literally no privileges, and the Burghers have literally no privileges. So we're doing really well. We might want... I mean, you know, the less privileges they have, the more frequently they request them, which is obviously problematic, but still. So we have 2 stability and 100 stability points. I'm fine with being at 0 stability, I think. So I'm going to revoke one of the Greater Noble privileges. God, they don't have many. And we're going to make it the partial criminal court because we don't want the extra unrest, basically. And it will also lower their influence somewhat. So we're going to eliminate the nobles' criminal court. Has anyone here played? Oh, what's it called? The Life of Suffering and Sobronte. It's such a good. It's such a good game. It's really good fun. I'm mad because I didn't get the ending I wanted by like one tiny little bit. But yeah, if you're watching this, I won't remember to put a link in the description, but look it up on Steam. It's a Russian choose-your-own-adventure story with a really nice art style and a really cool kind of central mechanic and a really nice story. It's really worth checking out. But anyway, at one point in that game, you have the option to eliminate a noble's criminal court, so that's how that's relevant here. Ooh. Nice. Okay, Greater Nobles have generally accepted it. Oh, come on! 25%! Nuts! Oh, well. We'll manage, we'll manage. We will influence Crimea. Oh, jeez, I didn't check how much that cost. That could have been... could have been really expensive. Okay. We could also go to war with... no, she knows allied to steel. Thing is, though, actually, how's our navy doing... Well, we only recently unlocked the new ships, didn't we? Like, sure, we have the biggest navy, but I bet Genoa's light ships are way better than ours. Castile has a pathetic navy. Look at this, 8 light ships and 8 transports. Come on, Castile. Get a grip, man. We could raise up some more ships, in fact. Yeah, let's just focus our cash flow on our spending, that is to say, on light ships for a bit, because we could definitely use the extra trade power, and we can also use having a mighty navy at sea during our wars. Verona and Izmit gets the thriving merchant community. I love how often we're getting this. Sure. Now Izmit can get developed. I think the one down here is still going. Yeah, for another kind of 7 years. But this city is quite small. It is now growing. I think we'll build one more thing here, and then we'll pivot to developing Izmit a bit. Because Izmit is a bigger city, yeah. Yeah, although it's already over its urban gravity, but we'll see. I do like developing Izmit, but we want to make sure we prioritize Bursa and Constantinople, because the three cities of Mara, Izmit is the kind of middle sibling that doesn't get all the love. No offense to any middle siblings out there. It's a joke, I promise. Send gifts. We will give them... Right, we don't have enough money to send them a gift just now. We will proclaim the guarantee instead. Nice. There's our next Diplotech. Office of the Lord Admiral. Oh, did that just unlock a new ship? No, we took 11, not 10. Right, yeah, also culture acceptance. We're at the limit right now. Are we going to want to accept any of these? Sicilian, Armenian, Bulgaria? Probably not. It's worth noting, we might want to accept Bulgarian. It's worth remembering that accepted cultures convert to your culture slower than non-accepted cultures. So we want to be accepting cultures that are distant from the homeland. So we'll probably accept like Hungarian, Egyptian, Iraqi, and then we'll try and convert some of the Armenian, Sicilian, all that kind of, Bulgarian, Albanian kind of stuff. We might end up accepting Vlach. I guess that's how you say that, like Vlach. Excuse me. Just because that's kind of, it's quite a high development, high population culture up there. Has there always been so much Greek in Anatolia? Yes, I believe so. There's actually less Greek than in the game start right now because we converted a couple of these to Turkish. I mean, at one point it was all Greek, wasn't it? So, I mean, not necessarily exactly Greek, but certainly more Greek than it was Turkish back when all this was Roman. I was thinking about this at the beginning of the campaign. Our current borders kind of match the moment in EU4 when you start feeling good about your Basilius campaign, like in vanilla EU4 when you're playing as the Byzantines. Like when your borders look like this, you're like, right, okay, I've finished consolidating. Now we can go and rebuild the Roman Empire. We will just lower taxes, that's fine. I never mind lowering taxes. Like there's so many, well, there's not so many, but there's at least a couple of submods that I really intend to make for MEIOU and taxes once 3.0 comes out. One of them is removing events where you always make the same decision. Because plus 40% autonomy, unless it happened to trigger in your like key cities, which is very unlikely because it triggers in provinces that have the wrong culture, wrong religion much more often. You're always just going to give 40% autonomy because 40% autonomy, like where did that trigger? Can I tell? It was probably here. Just because that's particularly higher autonomy, I'm just guessing. But let's just say it was here. Now the autonomy is just going to tank back down again. In a couple of years, it'll be back down where it was, and there's no downside. Whereas taking a, 20 local unrest penalty is colossal. It's really, really painful. So you almost always end up just giving the autonomy. What should you like me? Plus 70. So we need to make them like us by 20 more. Can't quite afford that. At the end of this month we'll be able to though. I don't mind giving them a gift. They're pretty poor. This region, apart from like Crimea and Kaffa, this whole region is basically undeveloped. So I was gonna say, excuse me, where's my opinion? So next month they'll be our subjects, and we can feed them back all of this, but not this bit because that's outside of our intended expansion borders, as shown here. Outside of Europe, we're not limited. I'm looking forward to having like Ottoman Brazil and having to try and figure out how we work the trade from that. Probably, I don't know, maybe we end up collecting it in Iberia and we have to kind of make sure the north of Iberia doesn't have much trade power. But we're not aiming to play optimally in this campaign. I've done plenty of campaigns in MEIOU and Taxes and Vanilla where we try and play like to the finest. Obviously you conquer all of trade nodes because that gives you maximum control and all that kind of stuff. We're not necessarily going to be playing, oh, that sucks. We are deceitful, apparently. I've done plenty of campaigns when I was playing optimally. The most recent campaign I did, there's an ARR on the channel if you're interested in seeing it. It was an Italy one tag. I was earning like, I think I was earning 28,000 ducats a month. And it was so much that when you opened the economy tab, the FPS literally, I mean, I have the FPS counter at the top left. I don't know if that actually captures because it's Steam technically. I don't think it does. It literally, the FPS dropped to 1 and you could feel it. Like the game could not handle displaying numbers that large. Which is pretty amazing because like a pocket calculator from the from the 90s could handle displaying much larger numbers without, you know, dying. But apparently Paradox didn't code the economy tab with the expectation that the numbers would exceed like 5 digits, which they most definitely can if you conquer the whole world and then send the trade around in the most advantageous route. So Crimea, welcome to the fold. It's our first peaceful vassalization, I believe. Hello, Crimea. You could, if you could, thank you. There we go. 5,000 extra men, now 4,000, and they will raise up substantial numbers of, tribal levies during wars. Tribes have, obviously, large tribal states, and so we'll raise up lots of men to help in our forthcoming war. So with that done, and you have a core here as well, so that's good. We can give you that. Let's start spying on Georgia. Again, preparing for our war there. We're going to get a little bit more manpower before I declare this war. I'm content to let our guys drill for a little bit. Where does production revenue go? Could you clarify the question? Hi, Sol. We are at the force limit now. I have no idea, Sol. It's not very good. The stream alert thing. So we're building ships mostly over here, so I don't mind setting up another batch over here. Although actually that won't start them here, will it? Because they're not core. It's building them in odd places. It's fine. I'm not in a tearing hurry to get our fleet up. We should stop spending money on fleets for a moment. Ooh, nice. We get some global trade power for 10 years. No, until 1444. What a coincidence. So we're approaching the default start date, and I have to say, I think we're in a much better position than the Ottomans started in vanilla, whereas most other nations looking around the world are pretty much as strong as they are in vanilla, with Lithuania obviously being an exception, where they're just here rather than all of this bit. Someone wants to condottieri. The Papal States at war with France. The French conquest of where? Of Aquitaine. Papal States, did you ally yourself to England? No. Why are you in the French conquest of Aquitaine? It's against Venice? Oh no, it's against Aquitaine. Aquitaine is independent. What the heck is going on in the fog of war up here? The timber situation is being asked about in chat. It's a good point. I never check this. Right now we're producing 11 and we are consuming 8. So yeah, we're fine for now. Which is pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. We'll play with that once we start running into issues with the size of our navy, which will definitely happen because this is the kind of game where we're going to have, you know, a huge international trade fleet. But we'll see that. Where does urban production revenue go? Urban production revenue is added directly to your production income here by adding it, I believe, to the and also, sorry, it goes to the trade value and to the goods produced, I think. There's rural goods produced, trade value. Because production is calculated from... hang on, that might be the wrong way around. I'm not actually totally certain where this comes in. I know that we make, you know, we're making 11.51 goods produced. Sorry, 11.51, not 11.51. So what is this, a paradox patch? Where you call the thing after the decimal point 30 rather than 31? Which is sensible, because they have, you know, there's 30 things, and it's the first number after the decimal, not... Well, anyway, it's not important. But you get, you know, 12.43 ducats. I don't know exactly where it comes up. Can you explain how the heck trade works? You make a certain amount of trade value gets generated in provinces, and that trade value is added to the node, and then it adds incoming trade value, and then it calculates how much power you have based on the number of provinces you own, merchants present, ships present. And then much money is either retained or sent away based on the portion of trade power that is attempting to retain or send it away. You make money in a node proportional to the quantity of the value that is retained times the quantity of the trade power that you have. when you transfer money from node A to node B, the quantity of money that arrives is greater than the quantity of money that is sent if you have a merchant transferring the trade. I think that's it. I think that's how trade works. People act like it's complicated. Is rural production pretty much the same? Rural is a bit more complicated because it's based on local food production, which is a whole other thing. And then also, you know, local food, not local, but regional and continental food supply and demand affects the price. Whereas in 2.5, the urban production just makes money. There's no supply and demand connected to the value of silk in 2.52. There is in 3, though. And 3 is a whole other beast. I'm just going to take the free cash, I think. Or do we want... I mean, I think I actually... Yeah, I want the Edict of Tolerance so that we have positive religious unity until we can start getting some serious conversions done. So for now, I'm content to do that, even though it's going to kill this conversion at 97.5%. It's true, yes, there's another thing worth mentioning for trade. The amount you collect is not just the amount retained times your trade power. It's your amount retained times your trade power times your trade efficiency. Because trade efficiency allows you to turn... If you have 10% trade efficiency, you can turn 10 ducats of collected trade into 11 ducats of actual profit in your pocket. But yeah, the trade system is... The reason... I mean, I know the reason why people think the trade system is complicated. It's because it is categorically not explained in the game. Like, there is essentially nothing that I have told you is explained in the actual game. Which is obviously problematic, but... I don't think... Like, so I was having this conversation with Colonel RPG, who's an excellent YouTuber that you should all go and check out if you want to watch some... if you want to watch a guy who's... he's quite fun, he's enjoyable, and he always plays... He plays like RPG games, isometric stuff, 3D stuff, and he tends to play, and by tend to I mean like pretty much universally, if he starts a series, he will finish it. So if it takes him, you know, 200 episodes to finish a game, he will take 200 episodes and finish the game. So it's always a comforting thing to know if you're watching a series, is that it's extremely likely to finish. We will, I mean, go to completion. We will definitely take the Monarch points. But I was talking to him about this the other day. I don't care when I'm deciding, like, do I like this game? I really don't care how transparent the mechanics are. Not really. It's a little bit important, but and I'm talking about not like if I'm going to play a game for 5 hours. I'm talking like if I'm going to really get into a game. So in EU4, if they add a new mechanic and don't explain how it works in the game, I really don't care much because I know how to read a wiki. I can figure out how it works. You know, I know how to update the wiki, and I'll figure out how it works, and I'll put it in the wiki. And then, let's say I'm going to play EU4 for another 1,000 hours, which is probably a conservative estimate, if we're being honest. But let's say I'm going to play it for another 1,000 hours. If a new mechanic gets added tomorrow, and I have to learn how it works, let's say that takes me an hour, and then I'm going to play with the mechanic, knowing how it works, for 999 hours. I mean, I'm going to spend such an overwhelming majority of the time knowing how it works. See what I mean? Like, the time spent learning how the mechanics work, even if it's a little bit awkward because it's not well explained in-game, is such an inconsequential... hang on, this is actually a pretty big decision. Do I want to spend to lower inflation by 2? I really do, actually. This is only an extra 10 admin points to reduce the inflation. And we also avoid the autonomy, so yeah, sure. So I really don't mind if mechanics aren't well explained. What bugs me, and this is just my personal opinion, obviously. Like if you're a more casual player of EU4, you're not going to play it for 1,000 hours. You've only played it for 100 so far. I can totally see how it would be a problem for you. I'm just talking from my personal perspective. I think on the matter of where it is a problem for me is that there's a lot of explanation in the game. And especially in some of the loading screen tips, which are comical, because I don't think any of them have been updated since, like, 2015. But when the game gives you information that is wrong, I hate it. And that's really, really annoying, and it's not very uncommon. So lack of information that means you have to go and learn elsewhere, or test, or read the wiki. That doesn't bother me, but inaccurate information, that gets me. Armenia sent me an insult. Armenia, you're my subject. None of that. Man, power's still just ticking away. So we've unlocked the idea group, and you're saying, Christo, you've got an idea group. Take the idea group slot. Look. Okay, it's okay. We still don't know what we're going to take, but it's going to be an admin idea. So we haven't got the points for it to take an admin idea anyway. Like even if we took humanist here, right, it's going to take 300 points. So there's no need to panic. It's going to be scholasticism, I think. The tech cost is great. The missionary strength is great. The unrest is great. The diplomat is okay. The autonomy is great. The missionary is great. The institution spread is okay. The advisor cost is great. In terms of what we got so far, obviously we've got bureaucracy and culture. So we've got the this one we started with. Culture we took first because these two combined. I believe I did the maths at one point. If you had them at the very beginning of the game, which obviously you never do, but well, I don't know if anyone starts with culture actually, but you almost always don't, save you a total of like 6,400 monarch points across the whole game, which is an absurdly good return on investment. It's going to be scholasticism. And then it might be state religion after scholasticism. Because state religion gives us the stability, it gives us the biggest bonus to missionary strength you can get from an idea, more autonomy. Morale armies is pretty... I mean, a lot of this is kind of... like, these three are basically not worth anything, and neither is the finisher for us, because we're so impious that we're not going to be able to use Deus Vult. But once we've converted a lot of people, our jizya modifier on our piety is going to be much, much less significant. If you don't remember from the previous... episode, we are at minus 100% piety right now because we've got 5 useful minorities and we've got somewhere in here there's the jizya. Yeah, we've got minus 40% from jizya. So basically when we decide to shift to positive piety, 2 idea groups are going to give us where is it? Isn't idea groups in here? I swear idea groups should show up here, right? Sunni modifiers. Osman Court. Does it not show you there? Does it show you on the... Is it just on the idea group that it shows you? Like this is an impious idea group and this is a pious idea group. I think culture is neutral. Yeah, culture is neutral. So we don't really want to take... Oh god, trade, espionage and diplomatic are impious? I didn't know that. That's going to be a problem. But anyway, we're going to take scholasticism and state religion. I think that's plus 40. And then we don't do any of this. That's plus 50. So we're plus 90 so far. And then if we convert everyone, so we have all the Christians and Jews, that is, because those are the ones that pay jizya, we have another plus 40. That leaves us at plus 30 from minus 100. Assuming we're at minus 100 and that's not, capped, which might not be the case. And then what else can we change? We're not going to become an enlightened government or a republic, so we're okay on that. We're going to set up charity schools at some point, and then obviously in the late game we'll get preparatory schools and public schools, but that's not a problem for now. We are getting 15% for having a great temple, nice. Okay, it's 40% for religious, minus 40 for humanist, and then 20 for the others. Okay. So we're actually going to get plus 80 from ideas, which leaves us at a net plus... what is that? It's 40 higher than I thought. So a net plus 50 once we've made the idea group shifts, converted all the Christians and Jews, and no longer have any useful minorities. Then we are obviously always going to border heathen countries. That's not going to be a change. Right, jizya population. The ruler obviously fluctuates. We can avoid the advisor as well, so that's another plus 10. So we can probably get to 100 piety once we've converted everyone. Obviously, converting everyone is an extraordinarily long task. We can also ban alcohol at some point. And then, of course, the Edict of Intolerance. So first, we're going to go scholasticism because it gives us the extra missionary. And an extra missionary helps with conversion much more than plus 3%. Is that true? No, not necessarily, but... It's actually plus 1%, because we're mostly converting heathens, not heretics. If you're not familiar, by the way, I don't think I've said this in the last year. The difference between heretics and heathens. Heathens are people who are not in your religion group. Heretics are people who are in your religion group. And obviously, true faith is your lot. We're going to take scholasticism first, and then state religion second. And hopefully by the time we've filled out state religion, we might be able to use Deus Vult. And that'll be really good for our aggressive expansion. Should be nice. I'm being asked in chat why I want to go with positive piety anyways, which is a good point. There are 2 main reasons. Negative piety bonuses are distinctly better, as you can see. Secularism gives you those, and fanaticism gives you these. Secularism is almost objectively stronger, although fanaticism does come out swinging with the 10% stability increase interval. That's huge. Stability is really important for your ability to control your estates, because the estates display their displeasure by lowering your stability when you take stuff away from them or when you refuse their demands. But yes, secularism is better. There are two things that are worse about secularism, and they're both kind of roleplay related. Well, no, one's roleplay related, one's heavily mechanically related. In order to get access to a great CB, namely Deus Vult, we have to have high piety. And we're going to be trying to conquer this, so we need access to a good CB. Secondly, we want to create a religiously unified Sunni state. We want to, we're basing our expansion based on historical maximum Islamic conquest, and it so happens that I believe all of the Islamic conquest that ever took place in Europe was Sunni. Is that right? I'm just thinking. I'm pretty sure that's right. No. Yeah, no, it was. Mongols was Sunni once they converted. Pretty sure. So we're going to go with, trying to convert, not this bit, but this bit, this bit, this bit, this bit. We're going to convert it all to Sunni, get beautiful green across the map. Even if it's slightly less efficient technically, it does mean that in times of strife, because in times of neutral and better situations, being tolerant is much more stable. But in times of strife, having been intolerant when you were able to, during the times of peace, makes you far more stable, because you don't have the intolerance. You don't have any, you can get far more tolerance of the true faith than you can tolerance of heretics and heathens, even if you're maximally tolerant. That's the case. So that's why we're going to be doing our best to full-on convert, and we're going to roleplay as the devout defenders of the Sunni faith. The Shiite will be crushed. Shiite and Shia, is that the same thing? Excuse my ignorance on the subject. I think it's the same thing. And there is no Abadi. Does Abadi just not exist in MEIOU Tactics, or does it just spawn after this date? I'm not convinced. The Golden Horde and the Ilkhanate were Sunni. The Chagatai Khanate eventually became Sunni, but the Yuan never converted. Right. Yeah, when I say Mongols, I mean the Mongols as they pertain to the European invasion, because that's the bit I was thinking about. And it was the Golden Horde and Incarnate, I believe. Well, the Incarnate were kind of, that's here, right? But yeah, the Golden Horde obviously being the ones that kind of took up to like here at the maximum extent and raided beyond. I'm not sure if they actually took Novgorod. Maybe they just raided Novgorod. Ibadi are present, but should be minorities. You can find them in Oman and Yemen. I thought this area was Ibadi. Not Ibadi, sorry. Yeah, it is Ibadi, right? The third way lot. Let's have a look. Shiite. Is this Ibadi? Yeah, there we go. So there's some Ibadis around here. They will unfortunately for them need to go. And we will be doing some serious intolerant stuff later in the campaign to enforce our Sunni dominance, which will be good. We're role playing a little bit as some not very historical to some extent Ottoman people. Historically, the Ottomans were not very tolerant, but certainly more tolerant than almost all Christian kingdoms at the time. I don't really know how they compare to other Sunni kingdoms, because the Ottomans are essentially the only Islamic nation that I know even very much at all about, to be honest. It's right, so question from chat about canals. Canals and food are something that I have never actually looked into. I know I've built canals, and I've kind of thought, like, let's not build too many cities here because I don't know, I don't think the food situation will take it. But I've never really looked into food at all. So sure, let's take a moment now to take a look at the current food situation. Sorry, I'm just getting a Slack pop-up. Got to turn off Slack notifications. It's a bank holiday, don't you know? So we're going to look at a special map mode. Farming-related data. Farming-related data, extra regional food. Add regional food modifiers to the map mode. So this shows us how much food isn't being consumed per region. And obviously if there's lots of surplus food, then people, I don't know, decide to have more kids But population growth is connected to the quantity of excess regional food. And you will see that it's not like there's none in Constantinople, but there's some nearby because there's more people in Constantinople. It's, you know, it's a market. So right now we are looking at, we're using about 70% of the food in our core territory, more like 60% in the north. And Hungary right now has plenty of spare food, probably because we just killed 560,000 of their civilians in our war against them. Meanwhile, my goodness me, isn't it fertile over here in India? They're using 30% of the excess food. So what you want to do is, if you start seeing a region, I mean, and this is basically just guessing, because like I said, I haven't really worked with the food system much, and I'm looking forward to in this campaign, actually. Maybe this can be the thing that I learn in this campaign. One, how does trade work when you're not doing a world conquest? Indian trade, that is. And two, how does food work? I think basically what I would look at this and say is, like, if you're seeing that you're using 90% of the food, or maybe even 80% of the food, we should cease building buildings designed to increase urban population and instead pivot to trying to facilitate more food creation in the area. The thing is, are canals the only way you can increase food production? Or do roads also help? No, roads just do rural. You can also, obviously, rural infrastructure is what facilitates the... it says profitability, but I think it's essentially productivity of the rural area. I don't really know. Is it just... Chat, maybe you can help me out. Is it just canals? We could actually get a canal in Constantinople. What do canals add again? I believe the Nile has some. What exactly do they add? 15% farming efficiency, 60,000 rural population capacity, and I believe... farming production is a product of rural population capacity. I don't think, and I could be wrong, but I don't think there's a... That cart is not having a good time, huh? Tricky, narrow streets in Cairo. I believe... Well, no, don't say I believe, Christo. Look into it. So Constantinople... Oh, sorry, let's look at the other modifiers that it gives first. Farming efficiency, rural population capacity, rural capacity modifier, and famine resistance. Okay, so show me the food situation here. We've got 45% farming efficiency. Farming efficiency represents yield per farmer. Each rural population produces 1 unit of food, which is enough to feed itself. However, this value is multiplied by the farming efficiency of the province. So the province from the 10 rural population, 20 farming efficiency will produce 12 food, 10 of which is eaten by the rural population, leaving 2 excess food. 1 excess food can support 1 rural production power or 1 city dweller. High farming efficiency is the foundation of an advanced society. Ain't that the truth? So the only way to increase rural infrastructure is to have the estates increase it, which is kind of an argument for having large tracts of high autonomy land outside of your core region, because that increases the wealth that the estates have. However, I believe the estates concentrate their infrastructure efforts in regions where they are profitable, but that could be wrong. So, I mean, if Constantinople is at 0 autonomy, will the burghers ever increase the farming here? I mean, obviously, Constantinople is not the key for the farming, but... I'm not sure. So basically what we're going to want to do in order to allow us to have shining cities on the coast of the Sea of Marmara is build aqueducts and things all around this region in order to probably prioritizing provinces with the higher farming efficiency first, I suspect, because the cost, we don't need to prioritize big ones, big provinces, because the cost of the irrigation scales with the cost of, with size of the province, he says, but it appears to be higher in Constantinople. Innate fertility of the province, higher innate fertility having higher cost. Okay, so it's not size, it's innate fertility. Understood, understood. Yeah, states prefer building in high autonomy zones. That was what I thought. There should be a submod to directly build rural infrastructure. Well, there is a submod. It's called 3.0. And you can directly invest in farming infrastructure. So, yes, I'm not really sure what else we can do to help the farming in the area. I think that the city being richer means they can afford more food. Like if we don't increase the population, but rather the wealth per person, then they can import more food. But it's worth noting, so what we've established by looking at this is that, yes, farming is a product of the number of people times the farming efficiency, which means if you increase the rural population capacity, for example, by building some irrigation canals, you just linearly increase the quantity of food they're able to produce. Because let's say you have a current, I mean, what's the rural population capacity of Constantinople? Obviously, they're importing from other provinces, but let's just look at province data, population data. So right now there is 100,000 people living in the rural population of Constantinople, and they're at 98% saturation, and they're so that means we're creating enough food just in Constantinople itself to feed an additional approximately 42,000 people, which obviously doesn't even feed a quarter of the population of Constantinople itself. That's why they're needing to import. But if we were to build extensive irrigation canals, we could support an additional 60,000 people, and those additional 60,000 people could then provide enough food to feed not only themselves, but an additional 20,000 people. And thus we can facilitate larger cities. Okay, I feel like I've learned something. Cool. Sorry, I should show utility decisions and then remove the modifiers from the trade map and then hide them again. Cool. Good point. We didn't touch on warehouse districts. So there's two buildings you can have that affect the food as well, which is the warehouse and the warehouse district. The warehouse allows you to, okay, so let's read this. This is new text, I think. Imported food bias, 15%. Imported food price, minus 5%. Okay, so this reduces the cost of your imported food. And imported food bias. I guess that means this province, like let's say food was being produced here, and it could be sold here or here. This one would have a 15% stronger weight in its import request versus this province. Okay, and then this one, a 50% imported food bias and a 15% discounted price. Now, does that discounted price hurt? Oh, sorry, there's someone at my door. I will be back. Right, that was my lunch arriving, so I'm going to end this episode here. We'll look more into food in the future when it really becomes a more kind of critical issue. I think for now, all we need to know is make sure you build warehouses, and ideally warehouse districts everywhere you're going to be trying to build a city, because it means the city pays less for food, which means they have more food, which means the population grows more. And then once you actually start getting and try and have richer states, because it facilitates farming efficiency. Yeah, that's pretty much that. That's the food for now. And yeah, prioritize building in places where there is excess food, because that's where you're going to be able to most easily facilitate population growth. Marvelous. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Not going anywhere Twitch. I will see you all later on. Bye-bye.